Steve was incredibly successful. I think, if I just look back to the initial period, we launched in June of 2011, and a year later, July of 2012, we had added 1.7 million new accounts to our base. Importantly, we also realized that we had something that had potential to scale. When you looked at where we had located the original campaign, it was within our personal banking space. And we were seeing that on our savings and investment environment, on the home loan environment, in the wealth space, just generally, we were seeing that we had an uptick in the performance of our business. The scope to scale came about when we were realizing that people were, whilst we were producing a range of Steve commercials that were on radio, the customer was essentially engaging and interacting and growing familiarity for FNB, right? They weren't making the distinction between, oh, that's a retail piece of work and I should be listening to it with my retail hat on. We were seeing growth across our business areas, our wealth areas, etc. So we realized that we had something here that could move out of simply being the silo of our sort of consumer banking pillar or our personal banking space, and actually start moving across end to end across this corporation, I suppose, and this brand that we identify as FNB. What we're wanting to do now that we've got people in is entrench the quality of that relationship. So we want people to go, well, I brought my transactional banking to you, but actually, why don't I have a credit card? Why haven't I considered moving my mortgage to you? Gosh, I haven't got a smart device yet. What I'm really excited about with this evolution is that it has given us space to actually transition in terms of our media alternatives as well. This time round, what we are doing is instead of focusing on the advocacy, is to start scratching away and at some of the pain points that people experience in their day-to-day lives, the inconveniences, the time wasted, the effort it might take to do things, and go, there's a better way to bank. There is a definite shift in what we're doing in terms of the messaging construct. And that has also enabled us to then look at different mediums. We started talking about what now? Where do we go? And we asked both DDB, pretty much come up with your vision. What do you think? Where do we go? If we had to say, Vision 2025, what is your view on what it is we should be doing? And it wasn't about Steve. It was just, what do you think? Let's just throw out ideas. Let's just take a fresh pair of eyes. We did the same with Metropolitan Republic. And essentially, both of the agencies, both DDB, had worked with us for a significant period of time, and in this instance on Steve directly. And Metropolitan had worked with us from a brand point of view for an equal period of time. And so both agencies were asked to contribute to this process. Alongside of them, we sort of thought, it would be interesting to have a wild card. Somebody who is not here in our day-to-day, who's not perhaps having the same conversations, because we were also mindful that you can't get too close to the subject matter, right? And you get quite narrow after a time. And so FoxP2 was essentially the wild card. We loved the vision of FoxP2. We opted to go with perhaps what might be a safer alternative, let's put it that way, in that Steve, the character, had built significant brand equity in the marketplace. And so when people thought Steve, they immediately associated that with FNB. And we didn't want to necessarily lose that brand equity and start from, ground zero. At the same time, we knew we didn't want to continue with Steve in what was then a particular format. So how far do you take it and where do you take it? And across the agencies, there were different views as to how to go forward. And as a marketing community and as an F&B management team, you know, we had conversations with all of the agencies and really just thought, this is interesting. This notion of actually scratching away and evolving the concept from a character to start provoking reaction in terms of behavior and attitude was an interesting space because it had scope to scale across the segmentation of F&B. And we could turn it around very quickly. It didn't require us to go into long development cycles before we could actually come to market. We were able to turn the concept around very quickly. And of course, it included the opportunity to be able to consider television in that as well for the first time.